Everybody, how you doing?
Very good.
Good.
I'm gonna adjust my screen here to get everybody up on the screen. Who do we have in so far? Okay.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Now I can see everybody.
There you go.
All right. Can everybody hear me? Great.
All right. We're going to let folks have a few more minutes to arrive, but we've got a good core group already on. So I'd like to go ahead and welcome everyone and introduce our guest presenter for this evening. So on behalf of Bryant's Alumni Association, welcome to our virtual happy hour. Bryant alumnus Dieter Kamm, class of '88, will be walking us through the history and the art of the Negroni. Before I turn the program over to Dieter, I just wanted to provide you with some tips for today's virtual happy hour. So you'll see the chat balloon at the bottom of your screen. That's a great place to post your questions throughout the presentation. You'll notice that you've been muted. We're going to leave everyone muted during the formal presentation, but like any good happy hour, we've extended this hour to an hour and a half so that when we finish the formal part of the presentation, we can unmute everyone and invite a little more cocktail chatter and Q&A. We're joined today by Dieter Kamm, as I said, graduate of the class of 1988. He has over 25 years of experience in importing and distribution of fine wines. And his newest venture has led him to working in national sales with House Alpens, a leading importer focused on fine and traditional aperitifs, amari, wines, spirits, and liqueurs. The craft cocktail scene is exploding, and while Dieter still reserves a place in his heart for wine, the timing is perfect to get in on this side of the market and share his passion for everything fermented. Thanks to his extensive experience and willingness to share his knowledge, Dieter has been a fantastic ambassador for Bryant. He has helped us host a number of wine tastings in Manhattan and on campus over the years, and we are grateful for his volunteerism. If you went to Bryant with Dieter or have had the opportunity to meet him at an alumni program, then you know how enthusiastic he is about, well, everything, but especially Bryant. Now, I turn the presentation over to Dieter.
Thanks, Kathleen. Thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is thank you, everybody who's helped put this together. This was a lot of fun working with the whole Bryant Alumni Association team. So Meg, Jess, Jessica, Kathleen, Robin. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. It's been a lot of fun working with you guys. We've learned how to put a Zoom studio together and learn how to use all the features. And now I've got this whole thing built. I think I'm gonna have to start doing weekly TV shows or something because it's pretty cool. So I'm glad to be here. Just so you know, when I'm looking back and forth, if I look over here, I see I've got a computer set up to see all the faces. So it's great to see some people I haven't seen in a long time. Wow. And it's also great to see some new friends. So hello, everybody. And what we're going to do today, we've done a few things in the past on campus and at homecoming. You always revolved around wine. I've taken a little bit of a different path now, and I've actually left the wine business, I guess you could say, and I've moved into the spirits and aromatized wines. And part of the reason that I did that is just because it's booming right now. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but if you hear, there's a lot going on with vermouth and cocktails. The classic cocktails are coming back, and it's a great time to be in this side of the business. It's all interrelated with the wine, so I feel like I haven't lost my passion for wine. It's still there, and I still drink a lot of wine. But it's fun to go into this new chapter. So today, when we started talking about what to do, we could have done an overview. Nancy Kamm is in the waiting room. That's my mom. Can you let her in, Kathleen? I had to let my mom come in. Some of you might remember my mom. She lives right across the street. Haven't seen her in a while, real close because of the COVID, but she's there. So we kicked around some ideas about what to do, whether we were going to do classic cocktails, introduction, wine. And for me, it was pretty easy. I think one thing stood out. I said, why don't we just do a seminar on Negroni? And I think Robin, I think it was you, said, wow, is that enough just to talk about a Negroni? And I said, are you kidding, Robin? If you can't fill your life with Negroni, then you just haven't been properly introduced to a Negroni, because it's you can make a Negroni your only drink. It's the best drink. So we're going to talk about Negronis today. Excuse me. And that's water, not a Negroni yet. Before we start getting into talking too much, if there's one thing I've learned over the past years, it's this: don't keep talking without a drink in your hand. So that said, let's make sure everybody has a drink in their hand. And we're gonna have, I've got another screen over here that's showing the chat room, and I think Jess, you're gonna help guide me with just some questions that come up on the chat. It's kind of weird doing this with no back and forth communication. So I hear myself talking, but I don't hear any reactions. I can't tell if I'm funny. I can't tell if you guys are enjoying this. So yeah, smile, that helps. The smiles help. Okay, thumbs up, that's cool, I can see that. But so before we get into Negroni, I'm going to turn you on to something. If you haven't already heard about the spritz, just raise your hand. Has anybody heard of the like the Aperol spritz, they call it? It's the cool drink, but I got news for you. It's already gone. It's already come and gone. So if you're just learning about it now, we're going to learn about it, but you're not cool anymore, because it was cool a long time ago. But it's a great way to start out. I like to do this one in a large wine glass. So we're going to go with here we go. My kids helped set this up. Now we've got a bunch of different cameras going on here. We've got the front view. And how's the side view looking? Is it?
Yeah, looks okay. Great, yeah.
All right. So the spritz, it can be made with Aperol, it can be made with Campari, or it can be made even more traditional with Cappelletti. Now, this is one that I happen to sell now, and the brands we're going to be using today are the brands that I import under House Alpens, but it's more than just loyalty to the company and trying to get a plug on national TV. This is going to be big news. This is going out on a lot of networks. It's going to be syndicated. A lot of people picking it up. And Kathleen, make sure you get the royalties for that one deposit into the Bryant Alumni Association. But I really believe in these brands. They're the best of the best. They're the best within the category. So we're going to talk about, I think there's 3 components to a Negroni, and one of the components is Campari, or just a red bitters. This is the red bitters we're going to use today. And I got to tell you, if there's one thing that I kind of wish I wanted to change from a Negroni, it's the fact that the Campari is a little bit too syrupy. Aperol, to me, is a little bit too wimpy, too light. It's 7% alcohol. It's very orange base, and I don't like too much orange. Campari is a higher alcohol. It's about 27 proof, 27%, but it also has, it's very syrupy and cloying. Cappelletti is right in the middle. It's 20% alcohol. It's lighter, but it's more delicate, and it's wine-based. That's pretty cool. Aperol and Campari are a liquor-based. They're a spirit-based. Campari is wine-based. So you get the finesse from wine. It's a lot prettier drink, and it's better. There's more acid in the mouth, and it wakes you up. So I've got the red bitters. And I'm going to put, what I just do here is Prosecco. In this case, I'm going to use some Frisianette that I stole from my mom's house just about 5 minutes ago. She didn't know, though, because she was on a bridge Zoom. And I sent my son over and said, steal a bottle of Frisianette from her fridge, because I don't have any Prosecco in the house. Can you believe that? It's like a barber without a pair of scissors in the house. So boom, and a touch of sparkling water. Voila. I've got some garnishes preset. We're gonna go with a little mist of orange, drop it right in there, and bingo, we've got the spritz, the classic spritz. Salute, everybody, toast.
Cheers. Well, as you do that, I'm going to send out one poll just to ask where everyone is from. So as you do that, enjoy your drink.
I can answer. Hear dog barking.
Yes.
There's my mouse.
All right. Well, seems like our poll have kind of stopped, so I'm going to end the poll and I'll share your results.
All right, looking at the data. Mass, Rhode Island. Type in your type in on the chat room. Type in where you're from if you're in other. Let's hear where you're all from. New Jersey. I am broadcasting live from, this is the official Bryant University. I almost said college. Bryant University, Negroni headquarters, based out of New Jersey, suburb of New York. All right, so while we're ruminating on the data, what's the purpose of the spritz? All right, the spritz, it livens you up, it awakens you. It has enough bitter quality, but it has the bubbles from the Prosecco and the bubbles from the sparkling water actually lighten it up. So it's a very benign cocktail. It's a great thing to start out with. And okay, I'm in the business, but I started drinking Negronis and spritzes and Campari and sodas out of necessity, because when you're at wineries all day, especially in Italy, you're eating and drinking all day, and you may have to be in a tasting where you're going through 120 different wines. You get a little fried by 7, 8 o'clock at night. So what do you need? Now you've got to go out to dinner. And the Italians are legendary for their long dinners, their late dinners. So you got to wake up, you got to get yourself rejuvenated for the next round. So this is the best thing to get your mind, your body, your soul, your stomach, everything prepared for the feast that's about to come. So you drink a spritz. It's refreshing. It's thirst quenching. It's and the bitters, they get your taste buds going. They get you salivating. Get you ready to eat dinner. It gets your stomach feeling good. It settles you down, and now you're ready to go in. 9 o'clock, you're ready to sit down. 10 o'clock, you're ready to start eating the first course. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're finally eating the cheese and the dessert, and then hopefully you can get a couple hours of sleep until you do it all again. But that's really why I started drinking these bitters out of necessity, and then they grow on you. They start to love them. That's the spritz. What we're going to do today is I want to turn you on to a few different cocktails. We're not going to make them all, but towards the end we can make a few more. And I'm going to get pretty schnockered if I drink every one that I make. So I'm going to have, maybe I'll get the kids to come in here and help me with that part. But we're going to the variation off of the spritz. The next one is the Americano, and that's just the the Cappelletti. It's vermouth, it's red vermouth, and then Prosecco. So it's very similar to the spritz, but it's a little bit richer, a little more bitter, a little more aromatic because of the vermouth. That's a variation. So you're going to see that everything is a variation from the central core ingredients that we've chosen today. Then I want to get into, right now we're going to get into the base Negroni, the traditional Negroni. And I'll show you how I like to make it. Here are the rules. There really are no rules. There's no rules when it comes to bartending and to creating drinks. Matter of fact, many drinks have been discovered and created by accident. But I'm going to walk you through the classic Negroni because I think it's that important. We're going to have a good foundation. Okay, so I'm going to get a nice, either a stirring pitcher or a shaker. In this case, I'm going to stir and not shake. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to do this one in a rocks glass. So I'm going to set up my rocks glass. Now I'm going to go through, I like I've got a little ADD, so I get off little tangents. But one tangent I want to talk about is ice cubes. Ice cubes make a difference. You see that in that? So I recently just bought these molds because I was so sick and tired of my moon-shaped ice cubes that come out of the refrigerator. Game changer right here, ice cubes. These are inch and a quarter cube. I've also got a big 2-inch also. And if anybody here, raise your hand or go in a chat room, but anybody, if you've gone to a cool bar where they pour the drink over one large ice cube, I love it. I think it's great. The idea is it's more dense. It keeps the drink cold, but it loses its water more slowly. I think it's a great way to present. So this is kind of in the middle. This is your 1.5, but to have a really good cube, it's much better because when you're shaking, you can hear the edges in the shaker. You know, there you go. Look at that, Robin. Is that the Bulldog ice cube? All right, so I've got my rocks in the rocks class. I'm going to load up my pitcher shaker with some cubes. I'm going to use my jigger to get a good measurement. So the Negroni, it's simple. It's the simplest, most elegant cocktail there is. If you want to talk about the great cocktails, there's 3 main cocktails. There's the Manhattan, the Martini, and Negroni. Okay, Manhattan. Let's start with Martini. Martini, I love them, but they're pretty one-dimensional. Matter of fact, I think we got a little carried away with extra dry, where you wave the vermouth over the glass. Like, well, what the hell is that? If you have good vermouth, you should put the vermouth in it. So we import Dolan vermouth, and long before I ever joined this company, when I was a distributor out in Minnesota, we picked up Dolan, and all of a sudden my eyes opened. I said, oh my God, this is what vermouth should be like. You can drink this by itself. I started drinking vermouth and tonic, vermouth on the rocks, vermouth for an aperitif with olives and almonds before dinner. And for the first time in my life, this was I don't know, 20 years ago, I realized that, holy cow, good vermouth is great on its own, and it should be put into a martini. So martini, Manhattan, that's the other really, I think, primary core cocktail. Okay, bourbon, rye, sweet vermouth. Sometimes you can put some bitters in there. It's a great drink, but you want to go to Negroni, now all of a sudden you've got more dimension, you've got more depth. Simple, it's equal parts. Just remember this, equal parts: gin, sweet vermouth, and a red bitters. Campari. Today we're going to use Cappelletti. And the reason why this drink is so beautiful, you've got the botanicals in the gin. You've got the strong proof liquor, the alcohol that comes from the gin, but you have the botanicals, which add complexity. You've got your juniper, your cinnamon, your cardamom. You've got all these botanicals that have been steeped in the gin, and then you put that with the vermouth. The vermouth has the wormwood and all these other the caramelized sugar and all these other bitters and spices that have been added to it. And then you add your Campari or your Cappelletti or your red bitters, and all of a sudden now you've got the bitter tannin and the bark flavors, and you put all those 3 together, you marry them. I think it's the greatest cocktail ever. So we're going to make it right now. I'm going to start with the gin we're going to use today is a Hayman's, and that doesn't really look too good there. How about that? So the Hayman's is they have the distinction of being the oldest family-owned gin producer in all of London, and they're still making a gin. So we represent them. We import them. It's a great gin. It's a terrific gin. They make a few different types of gins. The one we have 2 out today. We have the London Dry, which is the traditional London Dry. It's a little bit more citrus based, and the Hayman Royal Dock, which is a higher proof, and it's more of a cinnamon base and a cardamom base, a little less citrusy. So for the base Negroni, who here, raise a hand, you saw the Stanley Tucci article? I think we talked about that. He got into making Negronis. I thought Negronis were hot 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Every year they keep getting hotter. And now we got Stanley Tucci making them. So I guess we've all arrived. But you have Stanley Tucci. My mother called me the other day and said, Dieter, the local paper today, Stanley Tucci did an article on the Negroni. That's the drink you like to make me, right? I said, yep, it is, Mom. I water hers down so that she doesn't fall on the floor after drinking a couple. Put some sparkling water in it and make a variation, which I think is good. But Stanley uses 2 parts of gin. And you know what? I kind of agree with him, even though we, you know, he has no business making drinks. He's an actor. Stick to acting. Don't be making drinks. But he does 2 parts gin, and I agree with him. I like a little bit of a gin-heavy Negroni. In this case, the gin-heavy is going to come from the Royal Dock Naval Strength. So this is 57% alcohol. It's a high-proof, very high-proof gin. The reason why this was the original that was made for the British Royal Navy. When you go out to sea, they always had rum on board, but they always took gin on board too. And it's easier to bring a higher proof gin, just more bang for your buck. You could take less of it out there. It's going to last you longer, and you get higher alcohol. But I think the higher alcohol really elevates this cocktail. Okay, a couple of pointers. So I'm using my jigger to measure. I'm going to go with it's about a 1.5 ounce gin. I'm going to go with the Dolan Sweet Vermouth. This is from Chambray. This is from an area in France. Dolan is one of, it's probably I'll tell you this, it's not the highest selling vermouth, but it's the most popular within the people that know. So all the cool bartenders, anybody, any good wine person, they go to Dolan as their go-to. That's a great vermouth. So we've got the gin, the vermouth, and the red bitters. Equal parts. I hope you all have something to drink while I'm going through
Peter,
this.
can you tell us, do you refrigerate your vermouth?
Yes, I do. That's a great question. They'll last longer than a regular wine because there's some oxidation on there. There's a lot of additives in there. It's not just a straight wine, but because it's wine based, it will start to degrade. After 2 weeks, after 4 weeks, it'll start to degrade. And what I mean by degrade is the oxygen will start getting in there, eating away at the fruit, and it'll become a bit oxidized. And that just, if you've ever had a Madeira, that's materized, that's a heat, but there's also that oxidized flavors that when oxygen gets in, it starts eating. So yes, you want to refrigerate it. That'll slow down the oxidation of the vermouth, but you can still get away with, it'll last 4, 6, 8 weeks, easy 2 months in the fridge. How many people have a bottle of vermouth that's been sitting in the cabinet for 2 years, opened, and it still drinks pretty good. So it can last.
Peter, we have another question from Leslie. What kind of gin are you using?
Okay, this is called the Hayman's Gin. This is the Hayman's Gin. Hayman's is the brand name, and the style of the gin is it's the Royal Dock. It's the Naval Royal Dock Gin, and what that is, it's the original gin that Hayman's made for the British Navy, and it's a much higher proof. It's a 57% alcohol, as opposed to I think 47%. So it's a much higher proof. And as we were talking about before, I think that adds to the elevation of the cocktail. All right, important part now. So we've got it in our shaker or our stirring pitcher. I'm going to stir, not shake. But be patient on the stir. Now the reason why, this drink is best when it's diluted. You want to dilute it, but you want to dilute it slowly through the ice cubes. They talk about make sure you stir. The Italians like to say, you need to stir from the bottom up because there's different weights. The gin is lighter and the vermouth is heavier. Well, if you stir the thing for 15 minutes, you're not going to worry about the different layers. So the Italians are pretty funny. They say a lot of funny things. So some people will simply build the cocktail over the rocks. Some people, that's one way you can do it. You can stir it in your stirring vessel, and you can strain up or neat, they call it. Or the way I like to do it, I like to stir, give it a little dilution, and then strain it back on over the rocks. And I tell you what, if you want a cool little pro tip, if you want to be like me and be a real pain in the neck when you go to a bar, you tell the bartender, yeah, I want my Negroni, but I want it strained back over the rocks. And most of them will look at you and say, ah, cool, I like that. I'll do that for you. Some will look at you like, man, what a pain in the ass. You know, you got to be one in every crowd. But I like it that way because you give up some of the dilution from the ice cubes. But you want to put it over fresh cubes, larger cubes, which will then yield more slowly than small cubes. So I think we belabored that long enough.
Now, as you're mixing, actually, Leslie has asked, is that the gin that you're using, Heyman's brand? She's asking if it's the same as what you're using. So she's using Heyman's Old Tom gin. Is that the same?
I think I have one of those on my back bar. We're not going to be able to eat dinner tonight because I've got all the bottles on the stove. That's the Old Tom.
Okay.
Now, I didn't catch who that was. We'll talk about that later, but I'm glad you found that. This is a great gin. This is an old style. Back in the day, around the turn of the century, they sweetened up the gin. The gin wasn't very good, and they added sugar to it to make it more palatable. And once they started cleaning up their production, they didn't need to add the sugar anymore. That's where the London Dry came in. More citrus-based, more bracing, much drier. But the Old Tom has made a comeback now, just kind of a nod to the old style of the Old Tom. This is great for the Tom Collins. It's great for your summer drinks. It just has a little bit of sweetness to it and a little lower alcohol. But I like this a lot. I'm glad you can definitely make a Negroni with the Old Tom, no problem. Right now I chose the naval strength Royal Dock because I wanted to elevate the alcohol. All right, so one trick, you want to get a little more dilution. Put your hand around there, give it a little swirl. Enough already. Let's make the cocktail. Why do we dilute? Number one, this is a cocktail. There's no modifier. We're not putting any mixer in, any non-alcoholic mixer. So you want to get a dilution because it's all alcohol. So the dilution helps this out just for the sake of being able to serve a proper cocktail. It also elevates the spirit. And what I mean by that is when we're in a business, when we taste spirits and when we analyze spirits, and if they're any good, we'll pour them into a tasting glass and we'll smell without swirling. We'll smell first. We'll make our assessment, and then we'll dilute it by half. So if I did 1 ounce of gin, I'll add 1 ounce of clean cold water, boom, and then I'll slightly swirl and I'll smell, and it brings out the flaws and it brings out the character, the good character of a spirit also. So dilution actually helps open up the nose. It brings everything out. It brings out the aroma and the flavor. And how many of you, by show of hand, you've probably heard of the Scotch drinkers? What they do is they'll add a touch of spring water to a very good Scotch, and it may sound counterintuitive at first to be adding water to dilute such a good spirit. However, it does elevate and open up the aromatics. Excuse me. Okay, so we've got our Negroni. Now we've got to finish with a garnish. Can you see the garnish table over here?
You do have a couple questions on the screen.
Yeah, shoot.
So Lisa Newton's asked, she's ordered Negronis in the past and was served without ice. Are you supposed to order on the rocks, or is that assumed? And another question is, some of the drinks is your drink brownish? Because a couple of them are turning out red.
Okay, the red drinks you're probably using Campari. Is that right? Campari is darker. Campari is a darker red. The drink will be darker red. Mine is more muted. If you look at that color, it's a little bit of almost a rust, like an orange brick. That's because the Cappelletti, it's a little bit lighter, and it's also a natural coloring. This is all natural. the Campari and the Aperol, they use artificial colors to get it such a beautiful ruby red. This is all done naturally through mountain berries up in the Alto Adige and the Trentino area, if anybody's ever been up in that area on the border of Austria. That was a good question, though, very good question. So we're gonna go over to the garnish area now. I'll put it right here. I'm gonna show you one trick. We have garnish with an orange. Now there's a couple different things we can do. We can just use a good chunk of orange. The trick to a garnish is you've got to squeeze the orange because all the esters come out of the oil, and all the oil is found in the skin. So you want to make sure you get rid of all the white pith that sits under there. That's just kind of spongy and no good. But you got all the oils in the skin. I'm going to show you a fun party trick. I don't know if any of you remember, I used to do a similar trick with Bacardi 151, blow flames on the ceiling, but that's not what we're going to do here today. This is a lot more tame, but it doesn't really do much, but it really does, it burns the oil and it gives kind of a smoky, a little bit more of an accentuated orange oil smell. So we're going to heat this up, heat the skin up just a little bit. Can you see that? Get it heated up so the oils start to come out. Now we're going to squeeze it. You see that? Did that come out? All right. So the oils ignite, and I can smell my glass now. You guys can't smell this, can you? They haven't figured that. Jess, can you turn on the smell feature for Zoom?
I'll try.
Yeah, try. I think they have that now. So we've got the orange oil that's sprayed all over the top of the glass, and then by igniting it also, it actually gave it even more of a richer caramely smell. But it's just that oil that all of a sudden it really comes out. So now I've got the finished cocktail, the Negroni. Salute.
Salute. Robin asked what was in the dorm, Dieter.
About the what?
What was in the dorm? And Bob Sloss must have loved you. If you want to look at the chat, there's some conversations going on right here.
It's hard to read them. Okay, I got them now. Who was in the dorm? I don't know, Bob.
Open flames in the dorm, they're asking. Did you have
you know that? Yeah. Well, you could ask my mom about that. I burned her ceiling once. She can nod. And I don't see a mom on here, but I burned her ceiling pretty badly one time. But other than that, I never really burned anything down that badly. It's a fun trick. And I grabbed a bottle of 151 before they right when they stopped selling them. I was able to procure one, so I've got one. When the time is right to bring that trick back, show the kids. That's a good drink. That's a great drink. And again, the dilution is important because it softens it up and makes it more accessible. That's the classic cocktail. I love the feeling of the gin as it goes down. I love the botanicals. There's so much going on with the aroma. Botanicals, wormwood, mountain bitters, berry. There's just all kinds of stuff going on here, and I'm actually getting really hungry now. And this makes you hungry. It makes you salivate. It makes you wanting another one. It makes you ready to eat dinner. It's a perfect cocktail. So that's the base Negroni. Now we can go off of that now, and we can diverge in many different directions. I'm going to set this down for now.
On that note, Dieter, Lisa Noonan has just given you the perfect transition because I know this is an ingredient that you're very fond of. Lisa Noonan has just written, I add a splash of grapefruit soda to mine to dilute it.
No way. That's weird. Well, I was going to turn you on to a really cool pro trick. Lisa, you beat me to it. So yeah, let's get into the white Negroni, and I'm going to show you a basic white Negroni, and then I created my own variation called the Bulldog, just for today. But it's one we'd like to drink around the house, especially when the weather's warm. I got to get that thing off my screen. Give me 1 second. Gotta find my too many screens. I got to get used to this. Okay, got it. Now I'm going to get this one back on so I can see more people. Jess, is there a way I can make it just to show the, come on.
Grid view?
Yeah, without showing me.
Right. So on the top right-hand corner, there is a little grid view icon. So if you were to click on that, that should give you a whole view of everyone.
Ah, damn Apple mouse is dead. All right. Gotta have a talk with them as an activist investor. Okay. So we're gonna get into, I've got my handy chart. Now, we can also, after today, I can send you, we can post on, we'll figure out a way to do this, but I can post a drink card showing you what we made today. So you don't have to write this down now, you can remember, but we're gonna go into the blonde Negroni now, okay? This is pretty fun. So we don't want to use a red bitter for the blonde Negroni because that wouldn't be blonde. So we're gonna go, same idea, gin, bitter, and vermouth, but we're gonna go all blanc in this case. So in this case, we're gonna go a little bit lighter. We're gonna go more of the citrus based. We're gonna do the Hayman London Dry. Okay. Here's a clean shaker. I don't think I answered the question about when you order a Negroni, you get them up. Yeah, that's not bad. They know what they're doing. Many Negronis are strained up and poured over in a cocktail glass up. That's a good way to drink them. But if you don't stir it long enough, you can have a really strong, overwhelming drink. If you strain it back over the rocks, that's a cool way to drink it because you're going to get more dilution, opens it up a little, and I think I said enough about that. But that's a good question, and a bartender will either pour it up or they'll ask you if you like it on the rocks. If generally most of the time they'll either build it on the rocks and hand you the glass, or they'll strain it up. I think you probably need to take that extra step if you want it strained back over rocks. I'd say you'd have to ask for it that way. And if they look at you with a hairy eyeball, then they're not a good bartender. They should understand that's a good way to drink it. All right.
We do have one more question for Robin. She's
Yeah.
asking if I believe it's Melfi con limon would work for this as well. Kathleen, am I pronouncing it wrong?
I don't know the spirit.
Gin. It's
What's it called?
it's Melfi con limone from Italy. Have you heard of that one? It's a gin.
No.
My latest favorite. Anyways, I'm going to use it in this one. We'll see.
Dave Hobeck has a question. No, I think we weren't allowed to drink Negronis on that trip because it was Budweiser sponsored. So to answer your question, Dave, but thanks for bringing it up, Dave. That's a great question. No, wasn't in the Negronis back in '88 yet. Shortly after that, I did. All right, we're going blonde Negroni. So this was also, if show of hands, if you can't really handle the bitter, you don't like the bitter yet. Does everybody remember your first Guinness? The first Guinness you ever had? It might have been a little bit bitter. You might have had a tough time quaffing the Guinness, but once you had the Guinness, second or third, fourth Guinness, wow! Now that's a good beer. Same thing with a Negroni. It may take a few Negronis to build up your bitter tolerance. Once you get there, there's no going back. Any other questions right now? No?
So if I've missed one, I'm going to put it in the chat once more.
All right, Jess, you let me know if I need to answer anything. All right, so we're going blonde Negroni. Here we go. This is pretty cool. We've got, again, 3 components. We're going to go, hold on. All right, you know what? I'm not going to use a jigger for this one. I'm going to bring up a good point. To jigger or not to jigger? That is the question. And you got 2 schools of thought. The purist bartender would say, it doesn't matter how good a bartender you are, use the jigger because you want to have consistency with your drinks. the person that owns the bar, they want to have a consistent pour cost. The Italians will tell you, no jigger, no jigger, because the Negroni is like a piece of art. This is my Italian impersonation that some of you maybe heard. It's like a piece of art, okay? You may have, you're an artist, you may have the same style of art every time, but every piece of art is its own unique expression. It's always a little bit different. So if I use the jigger and I pour it exactly precise, everything's the same. If I pour with a free hand, it's always going to be different, maybe just a little bit different, but different nonetheless. So that's the question, to jigger or not to jigger. Matter of fact, Koki, we're going to try some Koki a little bit later. They run a few contests throughout the year, and one of the criteria for their contest is you are not allowed to use a jigger or a pour restrictor. It has to be done by hand because they feel so strongly about making every cocktail slightly different, kind of like a snowflake. Okay, every snowflake is slightly different, even though they look the same. So here we go. No jigger. Gin. We're not using red bitters. We're going to use a white bitter. This is a really cool product. It's called the Cap Course, a quinquina. Okay, you may not have heard of a quinquina. It's been around a long time, but it's not. Wait a minute. Nancy Kamm has raised her hand. That's my mom. What's your question, Mom? Now, when you have your question, someone's got to show her how to type it in. I don't think she knows how to do that. All right. Quinquina is where we're going to get our bitters from now. This is one of the original quinquinas from the island of Corsica. So they use a wine base. Vermentino is the white wine that grows so well down there. They use a wine base, and then they steep in quinine bark, and that's where they get the name quinquina. So if you remember where the quinine get its how did that become famous? Back in the days when malaria was all the rage, they didn't have a cure for malaria. Well, quinine became the cure for malaria. So suddenly they put quinine in everything. They put it, that's where tonic water comes from. They started putting quinine in everything they could get their hands on. But quinine, it's a really nice component because it adds a bitterness. It's a beautiful component. We're going to use this for our white bitters now. So this product is called, the producer is Matai. Oh, there we go. And it's the Cap Course. And it's hard to find, but if any decent retailer, you ask a good liquor store, they'll be able to get it for you if they don't have it in stock. Equal parts, so I put that in. Now I want my vermouth, but I'm not going to use a red vermouth because it's a Blanc Negroni. I'm going to go with the Dolan Blanc. So Dolan and most vermouth houses will make, a red, which is sweet, a white, which is dry, that's called dry vermouth, that's the one we use for martinis, and they'll make another white or a Blanc that's sweet. So this has added sugar in it, along with the wormwood and the other spices and herbs. So we're going to go with that. Boom. Again, dilution. Different spoon. All right, questions while I stir?
Yeah.
What else do we have here from my class? I can't set my screen on seeing all the people. Let's try and change that again. Oh, there's an appropriate poll.
Mhm.
All right, now I got some people back on the screen. Okay.
Chance to answer. There we go.
All right. Wow. How many people do we have in here today? All right. Only 2 pages.
We have about 37 attendees, and about 75% have voted. So I'm going to actually end the poll So you can see how many people we have today. So most of your class,
The
most
Bodkins are in the house. Hey, you guys. I got a little change in my pocket. It's going jing-a-ling-a-ling. Okay, I think we've diluted this one enough. We're going to go with, I'm going to do a different glass here. Pardon me for a moment while I reach to my back bar. We did the regular Negroni, the base Negroni in a rocks glass. I like doing the white Negroni in my wine glass. Pro tip, all the kids are doing it. Wine glass with no stem. I love them. They're a little bit more difficult when we're eating ribs because they get kind of slimy, but I love the wine glass with no stem. So you learn about ice cubes, no stem. What are we doing now? Okay. We're going to strain back over the rocks. Ah, beautiful. Blonde Negroni. I'm going to garnish. Let me show you a cool little trick with a garnish. The party trick that you can try at home, and it's not that dangerous. What we're going to do is we're going to take, I cut a nice swath of oh no, I want to use grapefruit. Okay. Nice swath out of the center of the grapefruit using my peeler. This is called the fancy swizzle. You want to look cool. I'm going to clean it up.
now, Dieter, is the blonde
Oh
Negroni?
no! Oh! I cut it right off. Pardon?
I was like, I shouldn't talk to you while you're doing that, huh?
I almost lost my finger. But okay, I'm ready for you now. What?
So is the blonde Negroni more or less bitter than the red?
In this case, it's less bitter. And the reason why is because I'm making it with a sweet vermouth, and the cantina is a little less bitter than the red bitter. But there is still a nice bitter component to it, but definitely less bitter. All right, so we've got a cleaned up. There's a cleaned up grapefruit peel. We're going to roll it up. Can y'all see that? And we're going to just cut little slices here. Now take that. Now, I lost my chopstick. There it is. Wrap it nice and tight. Voila. Either hang it or you can drop it in. But it's a dainty garnish, okay? Like John Bogdan, you're a dainty guy. You want to show off to your friends and show them how dainty you are. There you go. But I'm also going to now put a piece of, I'm going to express some grapefruit peel in there as well to give it some aromatics. I don't have to light this one, but I'll just go. If you look, you can't see because the camera's probably not that detailed, but you really get a nice fine mist. Wow, that's nice. Okay. The white Negroni. Cheers.
Here.
I love that. That's
Peter,
good.
do you recommend the swizzle around the rim of the glass with the?
No. No, and by expressing the peel and releasing the oils, that'll take care of what you need because it'll drop very fine mist of oils around the rim, so you don't need to rub it.
Okay.
And the rubbing of a peel around an espresso glass was actually done just because of really shitty espresso. And when people had bad coffee, they just put a lemon in it and say, well, they won't taste the coffee as much. So never order your espresso with a lemon. If they bring it out, say, hey, put the lemon between your knees. Cheers. I see some people shaking their head. But I can't tell if I'm funny or not. I can't tell. Let me get this thing off the screen.
Well, shall we open this up to a happy hour at this point?
I think we will.
Okay.
I'd love to do that. And when we get everybody on here, I'm going to turn this drink into a bulldog.
Well, at this point, you can kind of see everyone.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
How's it going?
Good.
No.
Mom, you gotta click that little button that says activate screen or start video.
What? Start video?
How many times must we go over this?
I think Jim McGee can help her.
There. We've got the.
Hey, Vin, how are you?
I see her. There's Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
I can't see her. There she is, over there.
Lauren, can you help Paca out with the camera?
I'm here, but I can't hear you.
There you are. There you are. Hey, step away from the phone. Back away. Back away.
Who, me?
There you go. There you go. There you go. All right.
Oh, she's gone.
Oh.
So you guys want to turn this into a bulldog?
Yeah.
This is a nice drink, but I found something that I really like to just make it a lot lighter and warm weather. So it's a great little variation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add fresh grapefruit juice and a splash of seltzer. But we're going to take Lisa Noonan's idea and even get a little crazier. We're going to add grapefruit soda. In this case, we're going to use Spindrift. This stuff is game changer, man. Kids love it. There's no sugar in it. It's great. So this is the bulldog because there was no name for it, so I figured, all right, we'll call it a bulldog for today's seminar. Boom, fresh grapefruit. Yeah. And this was another drink kind of born out of necessity. My Aunt Winnie sent me a whole box of grapefruits. And when you got a lot of grapefruit, just start putting grapefruit in everything. There we go. Give it one more. Yeah. All right, and then we're going to add our seltzer. In this case, tad of Spindrift. Now you've got something that, let's face it, you go outside, you go to light the grill, you're getting ready for dinner. If you start pounding 3-4 Negronis, full strength Negronis, you're not going to make it through dinner. This is a great drink when it's warm. When it's warm weather, it quenches your thirst. It invites your appetite, and it's good for you. It's packed with vitamin C and quinine. So I think if we all drink a lot of quinquina, I think we will never get the COVID virus. And I also make a variation of this drink.
If only.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Yeah.
Hold on. I got one more drink to make.
Jess, can you launch another poll question while he's getting that?
Sure.
Oh.
If you add one spray of Lysol,
Lysol.
then the coronavirus will never get you. So I've been adding Lysol to all my cocktails simply as a vector, and I put them under some ultraviolet light, and then I consume. And it's a great way to get the Lysol into your system without the harsh effects of the Lysol drinking it straight.
That's lemon flavored Lysol, right? Lemon flavored Lysol?
Lemon flavored, yeah. We need a disclaimer. Just a joke. Do not ingest Lysol. Just a joke. Do not. All right, cheers.
Peter.
Bryant Bulldog.
Brian, pull up. Dieter,
Cheers.
Yes.
hey, I need you to smile. I got to take a photo for Charlie.
Oh, I couldn't get a hold of Charlie. All right.
All right, come on.
Hey, Chuck.
No, seriously, good smile. There you
All
go.
right. Well, all right.
As opposed to a bad smile.
Perfect.
Good.
They'll be texting you in 5 minutes.
All right.
Well, could we actually get a group picture of everyone cheering to your Negroni, if that's all right?
It's already gone.
Do it.
Pull up your empty glass.
All right. So
Back to gallery view. There we go.
Cheers.
I'm gonna have
Glass keeps disappearing.
Meg let us know when you're all set.
She's muted.
Oh, there we go. Meg.
Yeah, we got one screen. I'm gonna get the second screen now, so we have everyone.
Okay.
Kind of hard with 2 screens, but this is good. All these people. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
You guys look awesome.
Well, listen, the Vegas line was the over/under was 70, so we came in under. I lost a lot of money today, but maybe next seminar we'll beat the Vegas odds. Okay.
Sounds good.
So jump in here. Who what cocktails do you all have out tonight?
I'm gonna go.
We did the traditional.
What are you drinking?
It's the first one you made.
Oh, do you have all the? Hi, Leslie.
I did, but I only had the Old Tom. The Old Tom gin was all I could
You're
buy.
the one with the Old Tom.
Yeah, but it was the only one around in West Hartford.
All right. Which store do you go
Need
to?
to work on that.
Which store?
I went to a few stores. I finally found Old Tom at Total Wine.
Yeah, Total. Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out where we'll figure out where it is for you.
Yeah, Dieter, if you can let us know where the distribution centers might be in Connecticut, Rhode Island, because I just went with what we had in-house. So we had some Hendrick's Gin, some Malfi, some Westport Rivers Vermouth, but I didn't have a chance to get your stuff, so I want to get that for next time.
Okay, for sure. And yeah, some of these things are, they're pretty well known, so you see them in a lot of stores, but every store can't have every product. So the best bet is to find a good store and then order it, and they'll say, yeah, I know how to get it. And I'll follow up with a good info sheet of some stores that I know that definitely have some of the products, and I'll also give you the name of the distributors, because it helps when you go into a store and say, listen, you don't have this product, but I know who the distributor is. Can you special order for me? And that takes away one of the questions right away. Oh, you know who distributes it? Great. Makes it a lot easier for me. Yes, we know that distributor. I'll put the order in tomorrow. Now, a couple other things I wanted to pass along. You don't have to be limited to just gin. I mean, some great Negronis. I love the Negroni made with rum. If you use a really good dark rum with vanilla notes. I also have a recipe for a slow gin, which is this is a product from the Finger Lakes in. Hold on a sec, my screen is dead. There we go. Okay. So this is a product called it's a damson plum gin. So what they do is they take these old plums that came over at the turn of the century from the Italians, and they're very bitter plums. They were used for prunes, and they're used for stewing and adding sugar in recipes. But they almost became extinct. And there's a farm up in Finger Lakes, New York, who kept it from extinction and started propagating these plums. And now they make a beautiful gin out of these plums. And that's a whole nother component when you make your Negroni using the damson gin for your gin. There's a Negroni where you can make a Negroni with tequila. We had one the other night. It was great. It was really good. Yeah, what's in that? We call it the agave none. So it's the agave. It's a play on the word. So it's agave, but it's a Negroni. So it's an agave none. And you basically make it with. You use this for your bitter. You use a good Blanc tequila. Something like this, a good Blanc tequila. And you use a white vermouth. And I guess I probably don't have to demonstrate that again for you. But.
So Dieter, we put up a poll about Negroni experience. So it looks like we've got a few people who share your love for the Negroni, and but there are a lot of us who hadn't tried it before or had only tried it a little bit.
All right, so listen, I'm crunching the data. Never tried. 47. Okay. Well, never tried means you're open-minded. Tried it once or twice, liked it, didn't like it. Only 6% of the respondents didn't like it. Okay, that's pretty low because I think the first time you try it, it's tough. And then 24% of you love it. How about now? Does that number change? More people love it?
Well, I know we probably should have asked the question earlier in the hour, but.
I'm not trying to sway you. I'm just giving you the information from which you can make your own decision.
Yeah.
All right, so how's everybody doing getting through this crisis? You guys doing all right? Everybody ready to open up?
Yep. Time to go back to work.
Yep. School. Kids in college? Anybody?
High school.
High school? What's the story with colleges opening up? I think fall. What do you think the fall is going to be? Going to be traditional opening, or is it going to be modified opening?
We have our fingers crossed.
With our hands washed.
What else do we have? We're down to one screen now. We lost a lot of people. Got a guest appearance from my brother, looks like. Hello, Eric.
Is there on the topic?
I invited a few family members they hear this kind of stuff all the time around the house, but there's a good poll.
Ooh, that's a hard one. All of them.
Well, of course, Kirby's, because they always had the best. They had the best looking doormen, the best looking bouncers on Thursday nights by far.
Hey, you know what, Dieter? I drove by Parentes tonight, and Parentes, what was it called? Was it O'Brien's when you were there, or was it Parentes already?
It was Parentes the year before I got there, so it was always.
Okay.
It's always.
All right.
Elaine, it'll always be Parentes to me, always.
They have a 20 by 40 foot tent set up, and a sign saying they're seating outside.
No kidding.
There's no
That's great.
students to go, but they're open. So, hey, Lynn, I see you. Hi, Lynn Regine. Hi. You know, anybody who wants to now, we can meet at Parentes this summer. According to the governor, we have to make reservations first, but we could meet at Parentes. Tim, we're there, right?
There you go.
That's great.
Can you drive over from Connecticut?
Got a great Parentes story. It had been years since I'd been back to campus because I went to Colorado for a while, and I don't know, maybe 15 years later, I'm back in the area, and we had to go to Boston for something. So I take the family through Rhode Island. So we got to go to Bryant, show them Bryant. We get off the campus. We go to have lunch at Parentes. I walk in the door. I think it was 18 years later, and walk in the door, and there's Larry and Dennis. And Dennis looks at me and goes, "Hey, Dieter. How you doing?" I mean, this guy
Never left.
No, I don't know how he does it, but my wife looked at me and said, "Man, I think they know you a little too well in this place." So, yeah, Kirby's is gone now, right? That's been raised. It's just a field of green now.
Oh, the library's gone.
Was the library Kirby's before?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
It was?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Where was
That
your this?
was a rough place. Question about rum. Yes, I think a good dark rum is the best, and the reason why is because the dark flavors, the rich flavors, the vanilla, the sugar. So what I suggest is this one here called Smith and Cross. Good stuff. So Smith and Cross. So I make my rum Negroni. Okay, you got the three components. You got your spirit, you've got your Cappelletti, your red bitters. You can use Campari if you want, but if you use Campari in this, it's going to be starting to get a little too sweet. And then I like to use the Cocchi. Cocchi is that's the best damn Italian vermouth out there. That's good stuff.
What is it?
Piedmont. It's called Cocchi. 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 What was that question? I saw a question come up. What are we making for the next?
Happy hour.
That's from Leslie.
Well, what do you guys want to do? You want to do boat drinks, tiki bar? You want to do
What's in right now?
Negronis? What else is in?
Manhattans.
Let me give that some thought. Maybe we'll come back with a couple ideas. But I'm open for doing something like this again.
Great.
What about these options?
Pardon?
Wait, what about these options here?
Oh, another poll up. And if you say other, go ahead and type that other into the chat.
Who's Greg? Greg who?
I can't get Greg off my thing.
Hello, Greg. Greg's on mute. Can we take Greg off mute?
Yes.
There we go. I think you can hear me now.
Hey, Greg.
Cheers. How do you introduce bourbon
you're at a
into
football game? You're at a football game right now. That's
a
great.
Bryant football game?
And it looks like you've got one of those really expensive sky boxes way up high. Wonderful. Well, you must be making some good money. All right.
How do you get
Cheers,
bourbon
Greg.
into this drink? I saw bourbon on the list for extra ingredients.
Yeah, you bet. And you can make a great cocktail, great Negroni, just to substitute bourbon. I actually like rye because I think the Negroni can start to get too sweet and too unctuous and too rich, but the rye kind of cuts through. It's a little more bracing, a little more refined, a little more elegant, but it gives you the lift. And I like rye, but bourbon's a great Negroni. Great Negroni. It's basically a Manhattan with some extra bitter in it. I'm going to turn you on to one more trick too. Where are we? Sfumato. This is pretty obscure, pretty rare, but I'll put this in a wrap-up email or list also. This is hasn't been mentioned yet, but this is a game changer. This stuff is great. This is a rhubarb amaro. So amaro is a general category. Amaro just means bitter in Italian, and when you pluralize it, it's amari. So this is smoky rhubarb, and I tell you what, you put a little shot of this in your Negroni. What I like to do, I drink like about half my Negroni, and then I'll top it off, not even a third, just like half of what I put in with the other one.
Ooh, dark.
Yeah, it comes out real dark, but now all of a sudden I've got rhubarb pie, campfire, smoke.
Ooh.
Stuff's amazing, and it's a very old tradition. It's over 100 years old from the again back in the Alto Adige, that area up north in Italy, which is my favorite place on earth. I love that area. They make the best wine. If any of you in the past have done wine tastings with me, we've done Cerlano in the past. Vin, you had a Cerlano Pinot Grigio the other day, and that's the best white wine in the world. I think it rivals some of the greatest Burgundies. It's just it's a cool area. It's I'm half German, half Italian, so when I'm there, I'm at home. I can't speak either one of them, but I speak a little German, a little Italian. I put it all together, and they laugh at me, and we can communicate. But that's Sfumato Negroni. So who else haven't we heard from? Hobaker. Did Dave Hobaker leave? He left. Probably got to build a pool today. He's probably busy. Jim McGee, how you doing?
Jim McGee is there?
Different Jim McGee, Mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Eric has a friend, Jim McGee from UMass. This is Jim McGee from Bryant. Gotta love it. Oh, I should bring her to all the Zoom meetings.
Absolutely.
At least how many Negronis have you had now? Mom, how many Negronis have you had?
I haven't had any, Dieter. I'm waiting for you to come over and give it to me.
Oh, for God's sake, you know.
You took all my supplies.
I love it.
Let me get my, I'll have to sterilize the glasses for you. All right. So where were we? Who else is still here? Paul, I thought this was Paul Mantle. Paul Marino? Hello, Paul. Tracy, nice to meet you. Victoria, nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hello, Paul. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What year are you?
Actually, I'm an imposter. I went to URI, but I couldn't resist a Negroni.
Well, that's why I recognize you, because we probably hung out together at URI.
Yeah, exactly.
Down after rugby games, maybe?
I don't know about that. This was a fun event.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It was, you know, I'm honored that you took time out of your Friday to do this, especially on such, or what is it, no, Thursday. Joe Biden, today is Thursday, and I'm running for Senate. So we have, but it's a nice day. I think it's tough to be indoors drinking Negronis when we should be outside enjoying the weather and the opening of some things. I don't know. New Jersey, not too much extra is open, but starting to open. Getting there. All right. Well,
hey, Dieter, gotta run. So nice to see you. Take care.
Great to see you, Leslie. All right.
Take care. Bye, Nancy.
Is it over?
This is over now, Mom. You gotta go.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me.
Bye. Good to see you.
Goodbye, Leslie. I don't know if she can hear me.
All right. Well, thanks, you guys. Great to see you.
Okay.
And listen, Bryant team, you guys thank you very much. You, a lot of fun putting this together.
Dieter, we can't thank you enough too. It's fantastic. We love your talent, and you're willing to share a little of your time with us. It's fantastic. I also want to thank everyone for joining us, and I just want to give a shout out. Events like this bring us together as a community. We are Bryant, but also go to our website and check out what We Are Bryant means for our students. There's still time to participate in our virtual 5K, which is raising some funds that'll help support some students as they're trying to, deal with affordability issues and coming back to campus. So We Are Bryant, and Dieter, thanks again so much. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kathleen, you can lay your hair down now. You've had enough Negroni. Yeah. There we go.
I forgot I was before. That's right.
Dieter, we started our day with a web chat from Italy, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So some of those folks, although it'd be a little late for them to join us, they were happy that we were tasting Negronis. So we had a group from Tuscany and Milano. So.
Oh no, who was it? What were you drinking?
We weren't drinking. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. We were drinking coffee.
Oh, okay, all right. But they were doing a seminar?
It was a parent of a graduate. So yeah, so all good. So nice to meet your mom. Great job. I didn't have any, I had to use Campari, so I've got some shopping to do. So
That's all right. The Campari is good. The Campari is
It's all over.
that's Mom, you're still on
Yeah, she's not
microphone.
gonna be able to get off, Peter. That's all right. Somebody will have to turn it off.
Well, Robin,
Okay.
need to get some of those bulldog ice makers.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Oh,
these were
yeah, I was gonna
fun.
show you.
I think you guys got these for me at what was it?
Pottery Barn.
Pottery Barn. Yeah, I hope they still make them because maybe we can send out a link. They were great. They were nice and big. So
It was
did a
during
good
the
job.
holidays a few years ago, and I tried to get more last year, and they didn't have them.
Oh, shoot. Oh.
But maybe they could be special ordered online somewhere.
Yeah, or if we know somebody who makes plastic.
Maybe that should be our
molds.
homecoming gift. Let's make
Yeah,
that our
it'd
homecoming
be so
gift.
great. Yeah, let's see if we can find them.
Yeah, perfect for 3D printing, probably.
Yeah, somebody with a 3D printer could make this in an instant.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? That's a great project. There's a group of kids in an organization called Fab Newport.
Mm-hmm.
Stands for Fabricate Newport, and it's about teaching kids how to be entrepreneurs and makers. And they've got 3D printers, and they would probably love a project like this.
That's
Huh.
all we need. I can give them the mold. All right, great. Good job. Nancy, nice to see you. I'm glad you're well.
Thank you.
I'm glad to know, I only knew Dieter's German side, so I'm glad to know that he has some Italian blood.